Welcome everyone to the Pulse of the Heartland College Football live stream here. We got a few topics coming up here, and since everyone's been kind of wanting it, we're deciding to do a little bit of gambling at the end. We'll talk about it throughout, but we'll definitely end on some locks and kind of a free for all like we did last week. Boys, how you feeling?
Good. How you doing,
good?
Good to hear. Excellent. No, I'm doing just fine, man. I'm watching Utah State and BYU piss my under down the drain. I put in under 60 because I was like, that's an astronomically high number for an over-under on a game, and they have 31 points, and BYU is driving with 3 minutes left in the second. So I'm kind of screwed on this one.
Good thing that wasn't your lock of the week.
Correct. Yeah, that was just me throwing money down the drain. I didn't want that $5 anyways. So
yeah.
Now, better question on the NFL game. Did you take the over on that?
I put Cincinnati covering. If you guys listen to our road to 272, it's kind of fun. You know what? You really start to realize how much or how little you know about each of these teams when you have to make a pick on every single game. So I feel like I'm getting better at the NFL right now.
Nice. Good.
So, but
I don't know if I'm getting better at the NFL right now, but I guess quantity over quality, right?
Exactly.
Right. When you're picking 272 picks.
Well, and there's 38 for the 60-point under, so I'm fucked here. I might have to put in a live bet here. So, but no, I had Cincinnati covering 4 points, which with that Tua injury, I think is pretty safe in hand now. But hopefully nothing wrong. It sounded pretty serious from what I was understanding.
Yeah, he went down with, like the stiff limbs and really no movement. So they just carted him off on a stretcher. So didn't look good.
That's not great, especially after last week too.
Yeah.
Well, and it sucks because no offense to Miami fans, but you've kind of been the punching bag of the AFC East for so many years. It was the Patriots for 2 decades. Then all of a sudden the Bills are really good. Now you're finally starting to pick up the pieces. You get Tua and then he gets injured. I mean, that just absolutely sucks. So I hope it's nothing serious. I'm a little worried because of the back head injury, whatever we called it from the Bills game. I hope it's a speedy recovery if it's something serious.
Yep, I do too.
So, what are you boys drinking?
Go ahead, Joey.
Oh, I got some vodka with the Sprite tonight. Just kind of hanging out. I'm in the ATL weekend. Also, was planning on going to the Falcons game, and then found out that it's a 3-hour Uber from my projected 3-hour Uber due to traffic from where I'm staying over the weekend, and it's $100 for one way. So I'm like, no, that's not happening. So next time in Atlanta, next time I'll go to a Falcons game.
At that point, just get a rental car, and those are pretty expensive, but better than $140 for one way.
Well, yeah, and I have my work truck. I just didn't want to pay for parking, and I want to be drinking while I'm at the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time I will stay downtown, but by the time I found out this information, it's too late to switch my hotel. So next time.
Next time for sure. Trent, what about you?
I'm just drinking the old Busch Light. Just nothing fancy tonight. Just went.
Nothing wrong with it.
Picked up a 30 this evening, so.
Drink all of them?
No, one of them.
And
I got to be up at about 4 tomorrow morning.
You guys are going to say that I sinned, but I had a bunch of beer that I haven't drinking in 6 months in my fridge, and I had to pour a bunch of them out, like those Bud Light, like the hard sodas. I still had 5 of the 12 left, so I just poured those out, and a bunch of IPAs that I had one of and didn't enjoy, but I had the other 3, so I just poured them out early so I could make room in my fridge for better beer, like Busch Light.
Good beer.
So what are you drinking tonight?
Right now, just the Crown Vanilla, same as I've been doing.
Is that a Syracuse shirt?
Yes, sir. Syracuse
Nice.
Orange, 4-0 right now. I'm going to pull a Joey. They're my second favorite team, so I have to rep them.
Yeah, I mean, you at least have a good excuse. Grandpa Dick would be proud if he knew how to get on YouTube.
He's from Syracuse, so if I didn't rep them, I've never had him call me or we talk more about Syracuse football when they're actually good. When they sucked, who gives a shit? But we're talking about Sean Tucker every week, and it's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Do they still play in that dome or whatever they looked like?
And according to Grandpa Dick, it is no longer the Carrier. It's not the Carrier Dome anymore because they moved factories and moved it to Mexico or something. About 700 people lost their jobs. It is now the JMA Wireless Dome. So
okay.
I've had to tell him that like 5 times because he's go, what the hell are they called again? Because it's some random wireless company. Like he's gonna keep track of that, but so.
Right.
So, yeah, I would say they've been doing pretty good this year. A lot of close wins, but, I mean, I'll take an ugly win every time.
So, that Carrier Dome, because that's a HVAC company, that they would use that as a showcase for the HVAC units and stuff when they've got, like, new technologies showing you can power and air condition whole home. That's what we can do with, like, office building.
Yeah. That I couldn't tell you. I mean, that sounds about right, though. Hey, check out the name on the side of this building, and it's keeping you cool. So
right, cool. I gotta apologize. Like I said, I'm in Atlanta, and my stream may not be the best. So it's not me; it's the stream. So hopefully we can get through too many bad breaks.
It's Atlanta. It's no Iowa or no South Dakota internet. That's for sure.
Yep,
that's for damn sure.
All right, well, let's jump into it. I don't know if maybe you forgot the trivia question, but I would say the trivia question for this week for college football: what school and position has won the most Heismans in history? And now, what I mean like that is like, who's won the best tight end award? Iowa tight ends have won the most. So I'm looking for the school and the specific position that has won the most Heismans.
So I would have got the positions right, but I wouldn't have guessed the school.
Yeah.
Position to go running back. I haven't looked at it.
I would say don't look at the bottom because I'm unhighlighting it now.
No, I'm not. Is it running back for the position?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then school. Ooh. Trent, so you know this, so you're not going to take it.
I know it because I read the whole agenda.
Okay.
I'll give you a clue, Joey.
Ohio State.
Yep, there you go. Never mind, you didn't need it. Ohio State running backs.
Oh, nice. It was between Ohio State and Notre Dame, to be honest with you. I don't even think Notre Dame's in the top 5. Think about it.
Yep. So the most positions, Ohio State has won it 6 times at running back. Archie Griffin twice, and then Eddie George a few way back in the day. Next up is USC running backs at 5. Then it's Oklahoma quarterbacks at 4. And then Notre Dame quarterbacks at 4 as well.
Ooh. Nice. Okay, so I'm okay with Notre Dame. Man, Oklahoma quarterbacks, that's a sneaky one. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, in that one, when I found the interesting article that made me come up with this question, it was from 7 years ago, and they're like, well, Oklahoma's 7th on the list with 2 quarterbacks. I was like, there's been 2 since this articles came out. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good question there, man.
No, thank you. I do a lot of research. I work real hard on this thing. I'm glad it's showing. So, well, we'll jump into some quick news. I know it's not a lot that kind of interests us, to be honest, other than the last one, I think. But Georgia Tech fired their not only their AD but their head coach this season. So now they're the third one, third Power 5 school, along with Nebraska and Arizona State last week. That's already fired their coach in week 4. I mean, that seems extremely fucking early to be firing your coaches. But Hurricane Ian, I mentioned they moved a couple games around. Like South Carolina is playing South Carolina State right now. I couldn't tell you what channel. And then instead of on Saturday, Eastern Washington is going to play Florida on Sunday instead.
Yep. So it looks like the path of that hurricane is going out towards the ocean and coming back and going to hit South Carolina pretty damn hard next week. So that'll be fun for that.
I've been keeping track of that. I think it was 155 in Cat 4 when it hit the shore near Tampa, well, south of Tampa. But So it's always insane how you're going to assume you're going to be just fine, and then that thing just veers. So, but
I thought being here we were going to get hit, and I got to go to Jacksonville next week, and they're getting smashed right now with a bunch of torrential rain. So, see how that goes next week.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, so it hit hard in Tampa. Chiefs are still playing at Tampa on Sunday.
Yep,
they haven't
already gone.
They haven't moved it, huh?
Mm-mm. So I don't know I don't know how that affects the betting lines that the Bucks didn't have to move, but I think Chiefs are still going to pull that one out. And then the last one, I thought it was kind of funny because we always shit on them about Texas and how mismanaged they are. After the loss to Texas Tech in overtime, which I think most schools, okay, you lost by 3 overtime, it's going to happen, especially against a rival school. But the Texas leadership had a meeting with Sark on Monday. With their, I guess, called Leadership Council on where the team could improve. And then they had a players-only meeting starting on Tuesday, all after a Week 4 loss. They're 2-2 on the season.
I mean, that seems kind of abrupt for all this shit for a 2-2 team. Get the fuck over yourselves. Jesus Christ.
All that, for a team that, top 10, got put them in the top 10. And
did you guys remember there's some I want to know who in that coaches poll voted Texas #1 in preseason, because they were 18th ranked. They had a #1 vote, and everyone thought, oh my God, Texas is going to be truly back now. And now you're 2-2. I haven't kept track if Quinn Ewers is back. It doesn't matter. Hudson Card, he should be able to jump in and be just fine for you. And now they're having. I mean, this is the exact issue that everyone talks about. Is Texas has all of these board members that are, or I guess, donors that are trying to tell you how to run the team. It's like, why'd you hire Sark then? Why don't you just have a committee at coach if you think you're going to do better?
Do you think this leadership council is just a bunch of rich donors telling Sark, hey, we're paying this much money, win ball games?
Yes. 1,000%.
Yeah.
That's where they go. I'm worth 150 million leadership. That's the leadership at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I donated 2.5 leaderships this year. You got to listen to what I tell you.
Or was it a leadership committee like Kurt Ferentz says, where he puts it together, assembles it, and then when they tell him he's doing wrong, he just dissolves it? Is that the kind of leadership that's going on there?
He goes, problem solved, and they're like, yeah, but you're the one that's saying you solved the problem you made. Nah, it's solved. Don't worry.
Exactly. Second thing on that, do you think it was Nick Saban at #1 and then use that as bulletin board material for his team to get hyped for that Week 2 game?
That is seriously the only one that logically makes sense.
Right. Like that's
I'm just saying it didn't work
Saban.
Because they didn't stomp him.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to
have to. Go ahead, Joy.
Again, I mean, they're 2-2 and they're having these meetings, and one of their losses is to Alabama by a field goal. Like most people would be happy with that season so far.
Lost 2 games by 4 points, including one in overtime and one with very questionable officiating on that safety and stuff. And yeah, the sky's falling. It's just insane. I'm so glad we're, with Iowa State with their tenure and with Iowa State having Jamie Pollard trust Matt Campbell, we don't have to deal with these like gossipy issues. Hey, they had a leadership meeting. We just know that there are coaches, even if we might be upset with them, they're going to get their shit done, and you don't have to worry about this stuff leaking to the media.
Do you think, Jamie Pollard, like you said, trusts Matt Campbell? Like, what do you think Iowa State's record would have to be for them to hold this leadership committee meeting?
I mean, I think it would have to be at least 2 seasons without bowls, and then a 3rd season that's trending down for them to even consider having a meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say it would take multiple seasons, not 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, even starting I will give you guys this, because Matt Campbell has really turned that program around quite a bit. I think if he starts 0-5, 0-6, I think you start hearing rumblings and shit. Especially if they're close losses. Like say he pulls a Scott Frost and is just losing games by single digits here and there. I think then you start. But I mean, if it's just a down year and 2-2, they go 2 in stretch type thing, I think he's got enough credibility to I can bounce back from that. So kudos to Matt Campbell with that.
Joey, you don't know how many years we didn't go bowling. We're it will be upsetting the first year that we don't make a bowl under Campbell, other than the first year. But yeah, it'll take a couple 3 years before it's really like, okay, this guy, what the hell's going on? Because I mean, the Big 12 is not getting any easier. I mean, we are losing Oklahoma and Texas, but we are adding some pretty damn good teams, into the future. So I mean, it's. I guess I really don't see it, especially if he keeps trending the way he does in the recruiting classes trend as they do. And with this new Cytown, he's seeing the investment, coming into the university. I mean, he's just going to have to keep up his part. But I mean, without his success, do we even have Cytown? Do we even have this other stuff? The bridge, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. If Iowa State, say, is still going, let's say, like 4-8, 3-9, like they were in the McCarney years, like none of that stuff's there. Like they don't bowl in the south end of the end zone. They don't put that giant video board up. Like Jack Trice would look like it did in the year 2000.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. Unfinished stadiums, and I think the crowds would still be there, but they're leaving at halftime to chug more Busch Light because we're losing by 24.
Yeah, every time we used to do that in college, we always said we're gonna go drink a beer. We'll be back, and I don't know if we ever made it back.
Yeah, it's not quite an Irish goodbye, but it's as close to an Irish goodbye. Going, yeah, I'll be only one beer. Yeah, maybe I'll chug a second one, and then you walk back. That same kid just hammered with somehow they got a mixed drink when all you see is Busch Lights out there. It's insane.
I feel seen right now. I mean, I've done that multiple times.
Well, shit. Honestly, while we're speaking of Iowa State making us want to drink, let's just jump into it here. Iowa State lost to Baylor here, 31-24 on the year, or I'm sorry, on the this last weekend. Baylor moves to 3-1. Iowa State 3-1 as well. And then actually, I'd say Iowa, where we have it at the bottom there. Beat Rutgers 37-10, ruined the under for me, but Iowa's now 3-1. Rutgers, Joey, what's their record?
3-1.
Rutgers as well. Okay, so I mean, and Iowa won as well. So not the greatest weekend for me, but I think we definitely lost a lot of opportunities on that game. I guess. I mean, I want to see how Trent starts the conversation because I think I know where we're going to start here.
I'll start the conversation with this. This is what's Iowa State's 4th game. This is the 4th weekend that I've had something going on and didn't get to watch most of the game. I was on call this past weekend and, of course, got called in. And I got home to see Iowa State score that last – did they score a touchdown?
Yeah.
And then a field goal or something like that? And then they didn't get the onside. That's pretty much – I saw the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Can I go? I say how the game went?
Sure, go for it.
I know it's not my team, and I don't want to take your guys' thunder away, but OFs, holy shit. I saw firsthand the Iowa State ref. Oh my God, those targeting calls and the missed targeting calls. Just in the first 5 minutes, I talked about the week before, or 2 weeks before that, my nephew was learning some choice words for me from my game. They learned more from this weekend. Those refs were fucking terrible. So that's coming from an Iowa fan that hates hating on the refs. So from there, I'll leave it to you guys. I'm going to go get another drink. But yeah, I just want to get my 2 cents in there of sharing on the ref hate with you guys.
Yeah. So when I was at work, like between patients and stuff, I just like check Twitter real quick. And it's just like, this doesn't look like it's going well. Just the Twitter reaction to, blown calls and stuff is insane.
And I even tweeted out and I saw the first targeting, and as a Cyclone fan, you get that knot in your stomach. And I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm like, first off, we all agree. And I meant to look up the ruling for targeting. I thought there was a 5-yard targeting and like not an ejection, but I think just the way it's worded right now, that's the way they have to go about it. So it kind of sucks because we've literally, hey, have you ever heard of a safety getting penalized with a targeting, early in a game that completely throws off the flow of the defense? I mean, that's happened to it. That's the second time in 2 years, including the Big 12 championship.
Rasheem Young, wasn't it?
Yep, Rasheem Young versus game. Oklahoma.
That was like first or second play of the game.
Mm-hmm. And you're just going, okay, yep, that sucked, and it was borderline. I think it was fine, but because it's kind of like what's football then? How are you supposed to stop him if the running back lowers his head to your crown? What are you supposed to do? But and again, optimist. Okay, you know what? That's fine. We got hit with the targeting. As long as they call it the exact same the rest of the game, I'm not going to complain about it. And then they don't call it the same. We had an unnecessary roughness on a linebacker that hit a wide receiver within 5 yards, which is allowed. Unnecessary roughness. That was 30 yards in the first drive, and really just it really set the tone early for that for the refs and for our defense and stuff. We also had a very questionable. A lineman was going to block Anthony Johnson, and he had to go low. He had to go low to at least have some. What's he supposed to do? Stand up and let him just destroy him? And then they call a block block below the waist or legs. I'm just frustrated right
now. Block below the waist is what was.
Block below the waist for 15 yards. And all of these happened on critical third downs that just shifted where we finally get a stop penalty. And then you add, this isn't college football, but then you add my Chiefs do the same exact thing. Stop the Colts, penalty, unnecessary. It just, I saw it all weekend where it wasn't called the exact same on Baylor's side, which is the very frustrating part. Because there was definitely, how Cyclone Twitter goes. Something like that, okay, an eye for an eye. And you could see screenshots upon screenshots and videos of Baylor hitting, crown to crown versus Iowa State.
Drill Brock on the next drive.
Yep.
Same exact hit. Now, I listened to the Chris Williams and Brett Bloom podcast that comes out on Friday nights. I usually listen to it on Monday mornings on my way to work from Cyclone Fanatic. And they were talking about this refereeing crew. Like, they were in the whole debacle last year, the Texas Tech Iowa State game where they ejected a whole section out of the student section. And then the student section, they just moved closer to the Iowa State bench.
Yeah.
And they were in the LSU Florida State game from earlier this year that was a huge debacle at the end of the game. So this was that same crew. And, and then they made a good point as well. They're like, that hit at the beginning, that hit at the beginning of the game that got the Iowa State player kicked out, those same hits, and Bloom and Williams are both like, they might think like, we can't keep making that call or we're going to have to eject 5, 6, 7 players out of this game. So they just quit calling it, it sucks.
After already ejecting one. And to be honest, and I'm going to give, the other side, I say their whole role as well, because they gave Iowa State a couple calls. I mean, going through and giving Jarrell Brock that touchdown, which should have been a touchdown initially when it was called. But I mean, it was the weirdest set of events. And I guess the way I look at it is like, there were bad calls on both sides, but Baylor's bad calls that went for them happened when we had 60 minutes left to play, a man down on defense, and we had to really hold off on how we were playing defense. And the Iowa State bad calls that went in their favor happened with 2 minutes left, and we had no time in order to make up the pace.
Yeah.
But after all that, I don't think Iowa State's winning this game anyways, because,
would they have 2 turnovers in the third quarter? You can't do that. There were mistakes that, happens.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, they're just those mistakes that you can't win ball games when you're committing those.
I agree. I mean, they went through, the third quarter, it honestly felt like for the first time in a long time, we had an Iowa State team that gave up. We had a team that didn't feel like they were in the game. You had Hunter that was making mistakes that I was worried about. If you shut down X, is he going to be able to make the plays with others? And I mean, I think Jyrell is doing the best he can, but man, Baylor's line just dominated both sides of the ball. And that Chapin, he made a lot of great plays that I didn't expect him to be honest.
Yeah.
He hasn't impressed me up until this point, including the loss to BYU that I watched. It was nothing special, so I go, oh yeah, kind of walk in the park and we have home field advantage, and they came in and they took it to us. And also that trick play, I was cursing them out so much, but that was such a nail in the coffin on that one.
I must have missed that one. Must have been at work.
It was a good thing you missed it, to be honest, Trent. I was swearing at the TV, trying not to be too loud in front of the kids.
Oh, you're fine. They were screaming or poking you in the face or anything like that.
Yeah, sticking toys in my ear as I'm watching my team get decimated by Baylor. I was not in the greatest of moods, to say the least. So, I don't know, man. I guess, Trent, I know you said anything. I mean, I really think the biggest takeaway is just we need to – I think Tom Manning just they need to come in better prepped, because I think the defense did everything they could, but they were just on the field so much, well as, we get down, and I always feel, and I know Joey always feels the same way with Iowa as well, but like we don't have a good game plan when we're down. We don't throw the ball vertically. We try and do this little dink and dunk, and it reminds me of Alex Smith with the Chiefs. And it's like, you got to throw that ball long. You've got to be able to have some verticality with the game and be able to at least open up something with the run game, and you can kind of work from there. And they're just dinking and dunking, and Baylor's defense was stopping us.
Yeah, and they have the players to do it now. I mean, they've got 2-3 really good wide receivers that are fast, big players, and a quarterback with a big arm.
You got maybe even set some pick plays. I mean, we were starting to get the athletes here. We got to be able to use that to our advantage here, and we didn't have a great game plan.
Yep.
So, Joey, did you want anything else you want to say on the Iowa State game, or?
No, I really kind of, for the first time ever in my life, really felt for the Cyclones and the refs, like just the back-to-back blatant missed calls that they did. Like Trent was saying, not only in the first drive, but then the subsequent drive afterwards when Baylor's on defense and they do the exact same thing, and they slow it down even, and the announcers are getting into it. Like, it's bad when the announcers are being completely unbiased and not wanting kids ejected, and then they're like, well, that's the exact same hit. So, yeah, it was a shitty situation for you guys, and I felt for you.
Yep. That might have been the first time I heard multiple Hawkeyes. Usually Hawkeyes, they laugh at the demise, because whatever, little brother, whatever they think. But that was the first time I saw multiple people like, oh my God, that was one of the worst calls ever. I mean, that was getting nationwide attention on like Barstool and different accounts like that. They're like, this is targeting, this is unnecessary roughness, but is what it is. Yep. And this is another thing where, there's plenty of teams that get bad calls thrown against them, but they overcome it. So hopefully Iowa State keeps trending in this right direction where we're going to overcome these calls. Right now, we're just going to be petty because clearly this one we couldn't versus Baylor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember I was getting the boys snacks at my place when we just got done pouring concrete, and you started yelling at the refs, and we were walking out the door, and I was getting ready to say, all right, boys, look at the Cyclone fan. This is how they always are. And then I saw the play, and I was like, fuck, never mind. That sucked. That was terrible.
Never mind. Cyclone fan was right for once,
Yep,
That's where you tell them a broken clock is right twice a day.
No, I felt for you guys. It was a game.
So, well, let's move into some positivity, at least for one of us. Iowa beat Rutgers, and they actually had a little bit of offense, but quite a bit of defense in that game, Joey.
Yeah, I know we watched it live while we were sitting by the pool and stuff, and it was a good-ass game by the Hawkeyes. I was really impressed. Defense, as always, they look good. I don't believe Rutgers scored the very last quarter. Yeah, they scored their touchdown in the fourth quarter, and that's when, still the Iowa defense was on the field for the most part, but they took John Moss out, and I think Campbell as well. So, yeah, Iowa looked good on offense. Finally, got back-to-back games that look good. We'll see if that keeps up this weekend. I know we're going to preview the Michigan game coming up here a little bit, but it was nice to see the offense clicking. I really think Cooper DeJean might be this year's cornerback and that comes out of Iowa that shines in the spotlight for the national attention. So not only is Iowa tight end you and can be offensive line you, but man, cornerbacks lately, holy shit, have they done well. So yeah, I really like this hockey team. I know it stumbled against Iowa State. And as always, I want that offense to be better, but man, that defense is kick ass.
Yeah, that pick six was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched more of the Iowa game than the Iowa State game because I was not called in at night during that game. But yeah, that pick six and then that scoop and score. Like,
yep.
Of course, they scored 2 touchdowns. Like, that's all they needed. The offense could have scored 0 points again, and they could have won.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's Iowa football, baby. That's Iowa football.
Well, I feel bad.
I was happy.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel bad because I was telling Don and everyone at the end when we were bullshitting about gambling, the lock of the week, put your house on Iowa hitting the under. And how do they not hit the fucking under? They score 2 defensive touchdowns, which fine. That is what it is. Mm-hmm. Offense scores another one. Sure. They let Rutgers score one late. That's fine. They doink in a 51 fucking yard field goal when they didn't have to kick. And then we lose the under by 1.5 points. I threw up, Joey, when I saw that.
Oh, I know. I was sitting right next to you. I know Cody was bugging you, but yeah, I was right next to you. And yeah, I'm sorry, Don, but hey, I travel for work and I have to pay or live in hotels now forever because I put the house on the under. I will be traveling permanently. That's why I'm staying around this weekend because I don't have anywhere to go.
There you go. Oh shit. So far on the year here, I have a few stats here, kind of poking fun at Iowa and also amazing how successful they've been because of these. The first one is so far in the year, they've had a total of 68 points in 4 games this year. Only 30 have come from the offense, 23 have come from special teams, and 18 have come from the defense.
That's insane. That's fucking insane.
Now,
that's 3 touchdowns.
What's that?
That's 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, no, it's 5 touchdowns on the offense. That's, let's see, for the defense. No, defense, that's
2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 2 safeties.
Maybe I added the points up wrong for defense.
I said, where's the other 2 points then?
Yeah,
wait, no.
I think I must have mixed up the points there. But yeah, I mean, either way, I mean, it's quite a few more points than what should be for if you have 68 total.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. And like I said, that defense is amazing, and I haven't seen a team tackle as well as I have the Hawkeyes at a long ass time. So yeah, hopefully that keeps up.
I agree, and that's the big reason why they're even 3-1, man. I mean, they've only allowed 23 points on the year, which I was shocked at because I think we all know that Iowa's defense I think is ranked 6th, and their offense is ranked 130th. So we knew the big discrepancy there. But it's just amazing that they've only allowed 23. The next closest, which actually it shocks me, is going to be Minnesota only has 24 points on the year.
Yep. Yeah, Minnesota is ranked number 1 in both rushing and passing defense right now. And for them to have allowed 1 more than Iowa is kind of shocking. But that's kind of cool. I like it.
Yep. So, no, and they've also played their garbage teams as well. I mean, their 1 Power 5 out of conference – I think was Colorado, which is the worst Power 5 team I think this year. Colorado State's out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was seeing a thing today talking about Minnesota's schedule moving forward. Those motherfuckers, I mean, that Big Ten West is going to be beating each other up as normal, and I don't think anyone really is standout good this year. I mean, every team has their flaws. Minnesota could be 12-0 going into the Big Ten championship game with their schedule right now. It looks pretty easy for them. They don't play too many bad or good teams out of the East. When they do, they play them at home. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I could see them running the table and being in the Big Ten championship game.
I'm gonna pull it up here just so we can kind of take a quick gander at it because I really didn't know, but the Minnesota schedule. So I would say they play Purdue this year, or they play Purdue on Saturday at 11. That's their latest game here. But I mean, if you look at it, I would say Purdue should be a win. I would say, and actually, let me get the stat. I'm pretty sure Minnesota is one of the 10 teams in the country. Let me see here. Yep, Minnesota is one of 10 teams that is undefeated against the spread this year so far. So I think Purdue, they're 12-point favorites right now. So Don, if you're looking for an easy bet, that might be one of them. Is getting Minnesota to cover. I would say they've been doing so well this year. Also, dating back to last year, talking about Minnesota's defense, they've allowed under 270 total yards in 11 straight games, which is just insane.
Yep.
So, I mean, looking at it, yeah, I mean, their road games at Illinois win. Purdue, I think, is going to be an easy win. At Penn State, that will be that'll be a tough one. Penn State is looking shockingly good as much as we make fun of that 32-year-old Sean Clifford, but I think that one could be a toss-up. That could be their one loss here, but Rutgers win, Nebraska win, Northwestern win. Jesus, that might be the easiest October of anyone in the country, man. Other than oh my God. So,
and then
anyway,
start out November, Northwestern at home, Iowa at home, and then at Wisconsin. And Wisconsin doesn't look very good at the moment. So I'm telling you, if they get past State, I think they're undefeated going in the Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm. I think Iowa. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but I just think Minnesota right now, with as unstoppable as they've looked, and the running game has been pretty good. Excuse me. They're going to be pretty damn good. But guess what? Minnesota was really good last year, and they were supposed to win the Floyd of Rosedale. And guess what happens? Iowa wins, and all of a sudden they're in the Big Ten championship game.
That's damn right. Damn right they were.
Yep.
Put some respect on my name.
By halftime of that Big Ten championship game, where you're kind of hoping Minnesota was there instead, Joey.
Yeah. We don't need to go back there. I'm getting pumped for the Iowa-Michigan game, not trying to deflate my hopes.
We're going to be on a revenge tour this year.
There it is.
So, we'll go over this real quick. I don't know if Clark will join us here randomly. Oh, he is actually at the bottom. Give me 1 second here. Perfect timing here, bud.
Hey, Clark.
About KU. So,
you guys want to see a magic trick? You want to see a magic trick?
Let's see it.
4-0. Oh!
Oh. Kansas beats Duke 35-27.
I think his audio disappeared there for a second. That was good.
Kansas proves to be the best blue blood basketball and football team.
The Qs, I don't know, man. Actually, Kansas's offense has looked very good this year. What's that?
I said blue bloods.
Oh, okay. Well, Syracuse hasn't won a natty in over 20 years, so I can accept that. But I know in my heart we're still blue blood. But anyways, Kansas beats Duke 35-27. They are now 4-0. What did you think of the game?
Jalen Daniels put that money on his Heisman. He winning it. Dude's amazing.
Did you ever find out if they finally put Heisman odds on him yet?
Yeah. FanDuel had it locked down so you couldn't get the long odds on him because he jumped about 20 spots on their list. Yeah. He went from like plus 6,000 to plus 3,000. So
I still think that's a long shot just because because no offense, if Kansas does make some miracle run, but let's just say crazy, they go 8-4, right? That's a great year for Kansas right now. I still don't think he could win even if he has amazing numbers because they just go, who is the best player on the best team? Who's undefeated? It's like it's not a team award. It should be the best player, and Daniels should be one of them. He should probably be the one, right? Who else is competing with the Heisman right now? I mean, Bryce Young hasn't looked great.
CJ Stroud.
If you take KU from winning no more than 2 games a year for a decade to 8-4, you deserve to be invited to New York at least. You might not win, but you deserve to be there.
Yes, sir.
So, no, I agree with you 100%. It's just bullshit because again, then if that doesn't win, they go 8-4, and he just puts up crazy numbers, but because their defense is what's going to kill them this year. Their offense is going to run and gun, but their defense is going to allow quite a bit of points as well, and that's where you're going to have to continue having those numbers. But I agree with Trent. If you don't pick a Kansas QB that has the stats and brought them to 8 wins, who the hell is ever going to win a Heisman from the school?
Nobody.
Agreed.
Yeah. Back in the day, 2008, Todd Reesing, did he even get invited to New York?
In 2008 was that you said?
Reesing. Holy shit.
I don't. Golly, who even won that year? Would that have been? Is that too early for Mark Ingram?
I would think so.
I'm looking it up right now for sports references for You said 2008. You thought?
I think it's 2000. Is either 2000. It might have been the 2007 season. The 2008 Orange Bowl is what they won, if I remember right.
So 2007 season, Tim Tebow won.
Well, there you go.
And then 2006. I'm even looking at 2006. He wasn't even in the top 10 between 2006 and 2008.
Oof.
He wasn't even in the top 10 in 2007. Like, he took KU. They were like 11-0 when they played Mizzou, and top 10 in the nation, and won an Orange Bowl with KU. Mm-hmm. Come on now.
I'm pulling it up right now here so we can see the refs. But I mean, it was a pretty fucking stacked Heisman here, man. Let me close this ad here. I mean, Tim Tebow, Darren McFadden, Cole Brennan for Hawaii. God, remember when Hawaii was when they want to play with the big dogs, and then Georgia absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah,
remember when Cole
Chase
Brennan
Daniel.
Yep, so that would have been the year. Chase Daniel was there, but I mean, Todd Reesing. I bet you he's probably 12th or something on the list. But Joey's favorite, Pat White here. Matt Ryan, Joey's other favorite.
Oh yeah.
God. Glenn Dorsey. God, I forgot about that guy. Played for the Chiefs for a few years. And then Chris Long, 14 sacks. That ain't bad. But God, I'm really surprised Todd Reesing didn't get the respect back then, to be honest.
Man, yeah. Nope. So this
guy,
their quarterback now deserves it. If he can get him to 8-4, send him to New York.
Exactly.
So before our
Go ahead.
Go.
I would say that's all we want is if they have a decent enough year, invite them to New York. We know you're going to give it to someone. You're going to give it to Stetson Bennett with okay stats for Georgia because they're undefeated. But just at least invite him to New York and feign that he has a chance. That's it.
So before our guest from KU has to get out of here and go back to some sort of medical school surgery type shit, how do you think your win this week compared to your brethren over there in the Little Apple? Were you pretty pumped about it? You think it's better than theirs? How do you feel?
You know, them purple kitty cats from down the road. You see OU on their schedule, just put a W against it because they're gonna beat them Sooners every freaking year. Like, is there a more predictable upset than the Wildcats beating the pants off the Sooners? No,
I mean
there isn't.
Death Texas, Kansas State beating Oklahoma.
That's right. Count on it.
That was the one you said it perfect. That's the one where everyone was like, "That's going to be an upset," and it's like, how would you know an unranked team versus on the road? And there must be something that they bring to the water in Norman because they are always winning.
Yep,
that's just it. They always get the win against OU. It happens.
So, which it's funny because, I think the last weekend we were talking about we always bring up with the Joey, well, see, Adrian Martinez, and he goes, see, I told you Adrian Martinez sucks. And, when you put him in the right environment and not force him to make some of these accurate throws and can rely on his running ability, all of a sudden, he looks amazing out there. I think Kleiman's really got him to the point where they just let him play his own game. Joey.
Yeah. Jesus, I forgot. Oh, you put him in the first big game of his career where he actually has a showcase to shine, and look what the fuck he can do. So, yeah, that's what you don't get when you go to Nebraska, motherfuckers.
So I saw a tweet. It was Saturday night, so after the K-State upset of Oklahoma, and it said if it was something along the lines of, if only Nebraska had a mobile quarterback that could throw the ball like this guy.
God, they'd be unstoppable. Yeah, I did see that one as well. So no, that one I would say it's kind of funny because I think Farmageddon's slowly climbing to be kind of a bit of a toxic rivalry, especially on Twitter where there's no faces on there and everyone can just say what they want and not mean it. But like, man, it's funny how Kansas State has another huge upset, with them upsetting Oklahoma. And the first thing they do is talk about how Chris Kleiman is better than Matt Campbell. It's like, fucking, could you be any more rent-free in someone's head where you get an upset and your first thing is go, well, we're better than them. It's like, just worry about yourself. I mean, because I don't think anyone disagrees that Kleiman has done an amazing job at Kansas State so far. He hasn't, won the conference or anything, but he's getting them back where they used to be with Bill Snyder and stuff.
So speaking of that, right after the Iowa State loss, I did get a text from a K-State fan.
Yeah,
Clark, and I know this person, that just said, "Fire Campbell?" ? I just replied, LOL, no.
Yeah, are you hoping so? Or
yeah. I was like, random.
Yeah.
We just lost to Baylor, who might win the conference championship. Okay.
And reigning Big 12 champion. I mean, yeah, who the hell would... Yeah, that... and he was serious about it too. Or maybe a little bit trolling, but like, to be serious about firing Matt Campbell after one loss. Buddy, we've had seasons with 10 losses. We're okay with one loss.
Awesome.
We remember the Gene Chizik years, so we're fine on that. Oh, actually, I had it in the itinerary, and I meant to ask you, because, Joey, there was a comparison as well. So Matt Campbell, which I respect the hell out of the move in the Baylor game, he called a timeout specifically to not only show replays of the bad call on the field, but also to just rip into the referees as well. Mm-hmm. Now, I saw some Iowa fans that were upset because they're going, how come when Campbell is yelling at a ref, it's passionate, but when Fran is yelling at a referee like in that same type of tone, he's just being angry and a bully and stuff like that. So there's some Hawk fans that were upset in the mentions as well about how they're construed in different ways. How do you feel about that?
I'm going to plead the fifth on this because I'm a huge Brands fan, and that's all they do is yell at the refs. So I'm okay with it. Respect your boys, get their backs, and do. Look at this motherfucker. How about that?
Look at this Kansas State fan here.
This isn't farmersonly.com. It's busy time right now, boys, but by golly, we know how to beat the pants off some red and crimson and beige or whatever the crap you want to call it down in Oklahoma.
Is that your like rootin' tootin' walk there with your arms out to the side? There you go.
That's right.
It's like he's on a green screen and his body just became a cornfield, which is fitting for a game.
It's blending in way too good.
Yeah. You need more John Deere green so your shirt doesn't blend in down there.
Well, we got the old John Deere combine running right now, so we gotta stay busy. Gotta feed the folks.
How's your week going down there, Ema, or whatever the hell you guys say?
Oh, great time to be bringing in the harvest.
Yeah. Do you have a good weekend beating those Sooners?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was great. I didn't watch it because I was out in the field, but I saw it on my phone.
Gotta get those crops out of the ground.
That's right.
listen to it on 93.8, the EMA or some shit.
The EMA. Every man a wildcat.
Yeah, fucking every cat a wildcat.
Every man a kitty cat. That's right.
Oh, fuck. I forgot to make a slide on this. Do you know who they play this weekend here, Clark?
They play Texas Tech.
They play Texas Tech. How you feeling about that game?
Texas Tech just got a big time win there at home against them Longhorns. Mm-hmm. Horns down, baby. That's for you, Torres.
Horns down. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could go either way with Texas Tech. I feel like, I don't know. I really don't know what to expect. My biggest surprise is why is K-State number 25 and KU isn't? That's what I'm wondering.
KU hasn't played nobody. I was gonna talk about that in how Iowa State's gonna beat America's team this weekend, but I mean,
last week us Wildcats got our asses beat by Tulane.
The Green Wave.
That ought to be a big anchor keeping us out. I don't know why. I mean, OU's a big win, but come on, we just handing out prizes because we beat OU or something.
No, not only you beat number 6 OU, but OU's a brand, so that lifts you up. You gotta look. You know what you got actually? It's a little pre-SEC bias. You beat an SEC team, so it brings you up that much more.
It was a bad weekend for the SEC there against 12.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So, well, I would say I kind of agree. I don't know what K-State's going to show up this weekend, but Joey McGuire's definitely got Texas Tech playing very well here, so should be a good game.
It is at home, so you're taking all them crazy Lubbock's out of it, So that'll got to help out a little bit.
And
so can both schools have an emotional letdown in the same game after huge wins?
It's just going to be ugly to watch.
3-2.
Yeah, something disgusting. Yeah. Like an Iowa game, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's nothing disgusting about that. That's amazing. One of the greatest national championships of all time was 9-6.
Wait, 96? Who the fuck won in 96?
9-2-6.
No, 9-2-6.
Oh,
LSU, Alabama.
I got you. I
guess that was SEC championship game, and then they scored a bunch of points stupidly in the national championship.
Well, boys, I must sign off.
Yep, got to get back in the fields, right?
Yeah.
That's right. It's been a long day, so time to go rest up. Go.
All right, bud.
Those crops ain't gonna harvest himself.
That's right.
Yep.
See you, folks.
See you, Clark.
See you, Clark.
Bye, Ema.
Oh shit! So, well, I would say I know we kind of watched our own teams. Holy shit, we've already been 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I would say, well, we kind of watched. What's that? Talk fast. Yeah. Well, honestly, on this game, on this slide, just had Clemson 51, Wake Forest 45 for a big game recap. Tennessee remains undefeated and held off Florida 38-33, and then Texas A&M wins off of the Oink Doink. They won 23-21. So. I think we only watched the A&M game, didn't we, Joey?
Yes.
Yeah, Clemson, Wake Forest with the double overtime, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, we tried watching all of them and flipping back and forth. It didn't work out. I did watch some of the Tennessee-Florida game while I was getting out of the pool. Tennessee looks really good. Richardson from Florida still lighting it up. I don't think their defense is right where it usually is in that SEC East. Like I said last week, I think the only team that's going to be able to challenge Georgia in that SEC East is going to be Tennessee. Now, that's a huge boost to beat the other second best team in that league. So, watch out for Tennessee. Coming out of that East, I don't think they beat Georgia, but they I think they can hold their own with them and maybe put up a good fight. Don, I can't give everything away right now. I got to do picks later, but
yeah.
That's how we keep people till the end.
Exactly. Don asked. He has Oregon State 10, Oklahoma 6.5. He needs one more game in money line. I have 5 picks or locks picked, so I'm going to get one there and eliminate it from locks. I gave him UCLA upsets Washington Friday night. I think UCLA, they're both undefeated, and got to go with that soon-to-be Big Ten team.
There it is. I was trying to figure out why the hell you picked UCLA, and then there it was. Mm-hmm. They're going to play in front of 2,500 people. It's going to be insane in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure California is still on COVID lockdown for some reason, so it probably will be 2,500.
Mask up when you're like. I mean, that is one thing at a UCLA game you never have to worry about is being within 6 feet of people. You're probably 12 feet from the closest person at those games. There's so few people there. But no, I like that Oregon State plus 10 there, Don. Oregon State's another one of those teams that is 3-0 against the spread this year. So I like that one. Oklahoma, I can't remember who they're playing, but they're gonna. I would say
TCU.
They're gonna beat TCU. Jesus Christ, I might put money on that one right now. That should be a pretty easy one. If it's the Oklahoma that came out versus Nebraska, they're going to blow TCU out of the water. But they can't have a slow start like they did versus Kansas State. Mm-hmm. That's enough for them to keep getting the momentum. And that Max Duggan, he's okay, but I mean he can be enough if you're not playing well in order to cause some trouble for you. So. Well, let's get into this week's game so we can get a little closer to the gambling picks because that's kind of I would say we kind of did a free for all last week and it was kind of fun to jump into that. But we'll start with the big noon game here. Michigan is going to be an 11-point favorite going to play in Kinnick on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox. The over/under set at 42 points. Joey, take it away.
So, yeah, real quick before I jump into this game, I just want to say Arkansas looked great in that Texas A&M game. Texas A&M looked phenomenal. They both played asses off. So don't sleep on Arkansas being close with Alabama this weekend. I think that's a close game. But, yes, Michigan coming in to Kinnick where top 5 power teams go to die. Iowa is 4-1 in their last 5 home games against top 5 ranked opponents. The only team to beat them was Penn State a few years ago when they came caught the last second touchdown. Fucking hated that game. But regardless, 2 years ago when Michigan came in as a top 5 team, coming off a win against Maryland, came in as 11th favorite against Iowa, upset that 14-13. So look for it to repeat this week. I think Iowa's the upset. I think the defense holds them, and I think Michigan just plain out. No, I'm kidding. I think it's gonna be a good game. I like pull out.
Sorry, watch the Dolphins game.
Oh, I thought you were clapping for me. I was like, hell yeah, Trent. You know that I'm on a train.
Watch the Dolphins. Sorry. Go ahead, Joey. Sorry.
All right. I think it's a very good game. I think that it's a very deep game. Michigan is good at running the ball. They're 11th in the nation in running. Iowa's rush defense is 6th. So we'll see which one of those pulls out. Hopefully, there can be some turnovers. I don't think Michigan's quarterback situation is fully filled out yet. And so, like I said earlier, I think Deshaun is going to be one of those cornerbacks that just comes out of Iowa and surprises everybody. Hopefully, he has a big game this week. I would love to see another pick six, another scoop and score. That'd be fucking amazing. That I will ride up to in that game. So I will be pumped. I'll be excited. I'll be through the walls of my hotel room this weekend. I can guarantee that.
So what do you think of the over-under at 42? What do you think hits there?
Man, I definitely would pound the under. I know I said that last week. I don't have another house to give up, so I can't do that. But, yeah, I would pound that under. I think both teams defensively are very good. I think Michigan's as they were last year, but Iowa's offense is terrible. So I think that, Iowa's defense needs to get some huge stops to begin with and get the momentum moving. But, yeah, otherwise I think it's their game, mostly because Michigan runs the ball a lot. So even if they do get up, 21 points or whatnot, that's going to be the ball game because they're going to run the ball from there.
Yep. I would say that it is – I really want to bet the under on that one, but they burnt me last week. I think if you're going to make money on this game, it's like Joey said. There's been plenty of top 5 upsets, just straight up. I think Iowa covers on this spread because Joey, I've been hearing you say it for years, and Dylan as well, but Iowa plays their competition. They play a top 5 team in the country. They're playing top 5 football. They're playing FCS South Dakota State. They're playing South Dakota State football.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The only times that they don't, and especially when they're at home, they really play to their competition. The only time are bowl games and Big Ten championship games for some fucking reason. So, other than the Michigan State year, but yeah, I definitely think Kinnick has a lore to it, and I think that those ghosts come out and haunt Michigan again this week. I hope so, anyway.
Couple stats just to kind of reiterate what we're saying as well here. Since 2008, 40 times has an unranked team beat a top 5 team. 4 of those times of the 40, Iowa is the team pulling off the upset. So 10% of the time,
10%.
10%, Iowa's the one winning. So that's a pretty solid one. The other one, Kirk Ferentz has played 15 games against top 10 opponents in Kinnick since 2000. They've only lost 1 game by more than 8 points, and that was the 2006 Ohio State team that went on to win the national championship. Yep. So I really feel good, Don. If you want another kind of spread, I would say Iowa covers the 8.5. Now, everyone's going to point to, well, what about the Big Ten championship last year? You were looking at a Michigan team that not only had an established quarterback at hand, but they're playing to try and get a better seeding in going into the playoffs. This is going to be a different environment. Joey, like you said, they're not really established at quarterback yet, and you're playing in Kinnick. You're not playing in a neutral environment where it's kind of 50-50 on the crowd. You're playing in a 100% hostile Hawkeye environment.
Yep, exactly. And as Dave's mentioning here, Michigan's quarterback is kind of up in the air. That gives Iowa's defense a little bit of a one-up, I guess you could call it, because of those bad decisions. He does that. He throws a couple picks, and then they start getting pressure on him with Campbell and Van Ness. I mean, that's a long day for Michigan. I mean, if you can't establish your run game against that defensive line, and then your quarterback starts making mistakes, that's a long game. So I love it.
Yep. And then I would say Dave mentioned here, Iowa's defense will give Michigan's quarterback trouble. He seems to be hesitant to throw and other bad decisions sometimes. I mean, we've seen that just in the games that they played. First off, if your coach is questioning if he needs to start 2 people in multiple out-of-conference games just to see who's better, 1, terrible sign. 2, the only reason they beat Maryland was because they fumbled the opening kickoff and gave them a 7-point lead when they received the ball in 7 seconds. I mean, and that was, I think it was like 20, or it was like 33-29, wasn't it? Yeah, it was some super close score. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at the score right now. Yeah, 34-27. So they win by 7 points, and Maryland gave them 7 points within 10 seconds of the game. That doesn't scream like the dominant playoff Michigan of last year.
No, and yeah, that defensive line missing Aiden Hutchinson. I know they've got another player. I can't remember his name right now. It's just as good, or they say anyway. I think that D was just all-time good last year, and I think they're on par with that yet. So,
Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Michigan's out of conference because I was just telling David there, very easy out of conference. They played Colorado State, which is like in the bottom 10 teams this year. Hawaii, bottom 10 team this year. UConn, I don't think it's quite bottom 10, but they are pretty bad. And then Maryland, their first competent team, and they didn't cover a 17-point spread and only won by 7.
So that number 4 Maryland could be all hype.
You call Maryland their first competent team, but are they?
I'm giving them credit because comparing them to the other 3, yes, they're competent. They have a what's the last name? Tagovailoa. What is it?
Tuilalia
Tagovailoa. Is his name like Tuilalia?
Yep.
And his brother's
Well, actually, they have an older brother, and so he was the third born. His name's Thria.
Oh.
That's a shitty joke. There you go. One, two, three. So yeah, I mean, I apologize. I don't know if Iowa quite has it now. If they are playing the defense that Iowa played last week, I think Iowa's got a chance. But if their offense keeps doing what they're doing, it's going to be a rough day all around.
Do you want me to spice it up and make a prediction for the game?
Spice it up.
All right. Iowa wins, and they win by 14 and 7 of those points over it is going to be defensive score. So Iowa ties it by 7 with a defensive score and seals it with an offense. To do that.
Okay. Up
All
by
right.
7, and then a defensive score makes it 14. That's the only way I see Iowa going up by 14, to be honest. So.
Yep.
Yeah, Kirk Ferentz ain't going to let that offense. We're up by 7.
Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah, but then if they're up by 7 with that defense, Michigan's going to start blitzing more. Time pop works a little better. The screens to nobody start working a little bit. You can bust one a little bit.
All right.
I just have a feeling Kirk was definitely the guy when he was teaching Brian how to drive. Goes, the speed limit's 60. We don't go 62 on this. 60. We just go the speed limit. Nothing more, nothing less.
59's okay.
59's okay.
Yep. You don't have to go as fast as everybody. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing.
But Dad, isn't going too slow on the interstate actually worse than driving too fast? Shut up, son. You're gonna drive this car. While I drive this car. You know how that went.
First thing he says, defensive driving. Okay, Dad, I'm in park. Defensive driving. I said defensive. Defensive driving.
Kirk also taught him, and not in his own car for sure. He taught him in one of those driver's ed cars, and he just kept slamming on the brakes the whole time. Slow down.
Fuck, he's been long enough. It was probably in a university supplied vehicle.
True.
Anybody on Kansas money line this weekend? Come on, Don.
Don.
Look who you're talking to here. Come on.
Look at this right
Good
here.
Good segue, Don. Don wants us to move the conversation forward.
He's sick of talking about the Hawkeyes.
To be honest, a few stats on that, Don. I realistically don't think Kansas win. I think Iowa State covers this one, not only because of being Homer Iowa State fans. And actually, let's just go over. Iowa State is a 3-point favorite at Kansas this weekend. Over under 58.5 points. They're going to play at 2:30 on ESPN2. Matt Campbell, he's 6-0 versus Kansas. Now, that's a former Kansas. This is a new Kansas that is actually pretty competent. God, I want to shut down Joey's screensaver of just a Hawkeye below us. But I would say last year was the biggest margin of victory by an Iowa State team ever, 59-7. Iowa State, they are 16-6 against the spread after a loss with Matt Campbell. So, I mean, not only all those factors. Actually, Trent, give your thoughts, because I would say I got to find the Kansas defensive stats here.
Yeah, so KU, I mean, they've played West Virginia. I think they're one of the worst teams in the Big 12. That was whatever. It's a Big 12. It's a conference win. Then we have, Tennessee Tech or something who played, whatever. They're terrible. Duke, they're not a good football team. They win that. Now, good for KU for winning these games, because in past years they wouldn't. But I think Iowa State wins this. I don't think KU is going to keep that up. And I think here's a bold prediction, but KU's 4-0. If Iowa State wins this and KU loses, I think it's a downhill spiral for them, and then they just become the Big 12 punching bag like they've been for the last decade. So I think KU is on a slippery slope right now, and I think Iowa State gets this one done.
Really?
Sorry.
You don't think
I'm just getting the games pulled
to have be like, we lost to a good Big 12 team, and that's not a terrible loss, and we can bounce back from this? Do you think that we just, slide down the mountain after that?
No, Iowa State wins.
Well, no, I'm saying, but like you said, KU, they lose Iowa State, like their magical basically over. To me, it is, we lost to a good team, we're moving on from that. Like, take your lumps, and it's a long season type of thing. So that's where I'm giving some Iowa State respect.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I think it's just, like I said, I think they might just become the Big 12 punching bag again if they lose this game.
Okay. All right.
So I can't quite find the tweet that had all the Kansas stats here for their defense, but first off, their offense is playing amazing right now. But I would say their defense, I think, is 105th in the country right now. They've played. I mean, just going through their schedule, they played an FCS game against Tennessee Tech, which they beat them like they were supposed to. But then you're playing on the road at West Virginia, which currently isn't looking the greatest right now. I would say West Virginia isn't as good as we anticipated they're going to be. They're kind of the Kansas right now compared to other years. They're bottom of the barrel. And then Houston seems to be collapsing, and even their wins, I think it was triple overtime versus UTSA. Houston hasn't looked the greatest either. And then Duke, again, it was a fun game to talk about the Blue Bloods of basketball. But, I mean, Duke is – you're not writing home about a win versus Duke, to be honest, unless you're Kansas and you haven't won 4 games in over a decade. So, not to shit on their parade. I know this is America's team right now, but I'm kind of looking forward to being the villain this week, being able to beat Kansas. And I just – Lance Leipold, if he does pull off this victory, I think he deserves that Nebraska job. I hope they throw $10 million at him and he can show them what it's about. Because if he keeps Kansas where they're at, it's going to be scary not to have a guaranteed win every year in the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, that was just one game every year that you just go into. You're not nervous when the game starts. It's a win.
Joey, how would you feel about Lance Leipold going to Nebraska?
I don't know. I don't care who goes to Nebraska. I think the dude should stay at Kansas. I think just as much LS recruiting people to come and hang out with the basketball team and get NIL deals and steal those from the basketball team. To me, you said West Virginia doesn't look good. I'm going to pick them up at Texas this week, going off that 33-10 win at Virginia Tech, and then that 65-7 win against Texas. Their other games have been within 7 points, Pitt and Kansas. So I like West Virginia. I think they're a scrappy ass team. So I think Kansas is better than definitely better than Duke, and I think that they're better than the stomping mat.
Oh,
that they have
hold on. I'm looking at West Virginia's schedule. You think West Virginia is going to beat Texas?
Yes.
I'll take that bet right now, Joey. How much you want to bet? I bet you Texas comes out, beats West Virginia.
All right, let's Hamilton it.
Hamilton bet? Golly, the easiest $10 I've ever fucking made in my life. I don't see that, man. I mean, West Virginia, their wins are Towson and a Virginia Tech team that looks fucking awful. I watched that game
Virginia Tech, though. I don't care how awful Virginia Tech is on offense. Overall, they're always good. They just are always damn good. I know Beamer's not there anymore, but
that was going to be my first question. Beamer's not there, right?
Yeah. His son hates South Carolina. So there's that.
Yes.
But we don't have to get into it. But no, I just going into Virginia Tech, playing that and coming out 30-10. I don't know. I think West Virginia happy. I thought they were against Pitt, who was a ranked team at the beginning of the year. I really think that West Virginia is better than you think. I think Iowa State wins this game, and I think they win by at least 14 points. I don't really think it's close. I think that Iowa State defense is very fucking good. Their defensive line is awesome. That guy you guys always talk about that has
Will McDonald.
Will McDonald looks good, and I think that looks like it's finally going to get and as mentioned, those ass in the game. I think Iowa State were run away from Baylor last week, so I think Iowa State's just on another level than Kansas. I think Kansas is up and up, and that's what I was getting at with the question I asked Trent about. Kansas can move on from this because losing to Iowa State isn't losing a team; it's losing to a good team. It's a more victory if you keep it close with them right now for Kansas. I would say by a lot.
I think that is going to be the key as well. Like we said, we've talked about the defense. This is going to be by far the best defense that Kansas has seen all year. And for Iowa State, this is, this offense, this is probably going to be the scariest offense so far. Baylor has the athletes and a set system. Iowa, we don't have to worry about their offense. No offense. SEMO and Ohio didn't have to. The one concern we're going to have is that 3 front versus the mobility of Kansas's quarterback Daniels. Because if there's one thing Iowa State has struggled with the last few years, it's going to be a mobile quarterback. Bohannon, he did enough a couple years ago, or I'm sorry, last year versus Iowa State in order to win. We seem to struggle with containing a mobile quarterback, which opens up, okay, now we have to have a QB, a QB spy, or we have to bring pressure, and then they just pick us apart at that point. So that is the one concerning part. I do think, but Heacock, I put my trust in him. I think he's going to have a game plan set. Trent, your dad said, "Throw me $10 million, I'll go coach Nebraska."
I'd do it for that much too,
Randy. Joey, real quick, Texas is 9-point favorites. I think West Virginia covers that. I don't think they have enough to beat Texas.
Well, I mean, you put $10 on the line for
the classic Hamilton bet. But yeah, I'd say I think we've set our piece on Kansas. We think Iowa State's going to win. Shocker, the Sioux Cyclones do, and the Hawkeye does. So
yeah.
Right. Big games this week. Number 7 Kentucky at 14 Ole Miss, 2 Bama at 20 Arkansas, 22 Wake Forest at 23 Florida State, number 9 Oklahoma State at 16 Baylor, and then number 10 North Carolina State at 5 Clemson. Any of these that you guys are really looking forward to this weekend?
The conference game there, Oklahoma State and Baylor. I mean, I think I picked on one of the early college football podcasts Baylor to win the Big 12. Yep. Now, I want to see how they do. You know, they beat Iowa State last week. I want to see how they do against a top 10 team. Oklahoma State's really good. And that will really let me know, hey, they are still a contender in the Big 12, or they're playing for second or third.
Joey, how about you?
I'm looking forward to all of those games. I actually think that the Baylor Oklahoma State game is what I'm least looking forward to, because I think Oklahoma State's going to run away from them. I honestly don't think Baylor should have done that game with Iowa State. I think Iowa State should have ran that. I think it got derailed early. So I think Oklahoma State's going to run away with that one. Hopefully, we're wrong. But one of my last week, Ole Miss. I'm going to go high scoring as shit. I'm really being excited. It is what it is. In charge there, of course, a bunch of hype. Bama keeps that one close. I think Bama is a better team, but I think Arkansas keeps that one really close. And my biggest upset of the week, I think, is going to be NC State at Clemson. I NC State with that quarterback there is very, very good. I think they pull the upset.
I agree. I would say I think that NC State at Clemson is going to be my game that I look most forward to this weekend. It's going to be hard for me not to look at that Big 12 game with implications, just because, I mean, you got to look at, like you said, Baylor didn't look at it as dominant as they should have, being the reigning champ, as well as Oklahoma State. They're coming off a bye week. They're coming off of 3 big wins. I mean, they beat Arizona State on their way to firing Herm Edwards the following week. So, I mean, it's that one I think is going to be my most anticipated. And I think, Joe, you mentioned it, the Bama at 20 Arkansas. You're high on KJ Jefferson and Arkansas right now. So I can kind of see it like where they hold them early, which I might start looking at first half bets on some of these games. Right now, Bama has done what they needed to pull off wins. I mean, hopefully Arkansas with the close loss, and they almost lost to Central Missouri. Missouri State. Hopefully they've got their heads out of their butts, and Sam Pittman gets them ready to go. If they can't get up to play Bama at home, they're never going to be up.
Exactly. That's a big game for them, both just in the SEC West, and then because if they win this game, and Bama goes on to beat Texas A&M, they should have a tiebreaker against all the teams. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that's a big game for them.
I agree. Well, I would say honestly, anything else you guys want to cover on the big games, or you just want to start getting to our pick'ems here?
Let's get to those locks.
All right, Joey, you said you had 5 of them. You want to give a couple away right away?
Yeah, so I gave away the over with the Kentucky Ole Miss game. I gave away the UCLA upset. I do think Arkansas, I mentioned this earlier, keeps. I think they cover. Another one that I have is NC State Clemson. I think that and Iowa under 42. I think the one the most count is NC State beat Clemson. I'm gonna go as my lock of the week.
Beating Clemson or covering?
Beating Clemson, just straight up beats them at home.
NC State money line.
Yeah, of course, almost last week. I think NC State's quarterback and skill positions are way better than what Wake Forest has, and I think that they go into Death Valley or whatever the fuck Clemson is and takes care of business.
Right now, 55% of the money is on North Carolina to at least cover 7 points. So I would say North Carolina so far this year, they are 2-2 covering the spread. Let me see here. Clemson, they've lost their last 3 covering the spread. So, and like you said, they didn't look as great versus Wake Forest, which that's been a kind of nice change of pace. Wake Forest was kind of always considered one of those teams I feel in the past that's their gimme win. You know, seeing them actually compete it's kind of been fun. But yeah, I guess the more I'm looking at this, I'm starting to feel this North Carolina beat them last year. Right. So I mean they're kind of trending the right direction here. They won as a 10.5 point underdog. So you might be onto something there, Joey.
Hell yes.
Trent, do you got any absolute locks of the week?
Yeah, one of mine. I didn't want to say it earlier because Don had that in the chat, but yeah, I have Oklahoma as a 6.5 point favorite. I have them covering that versus TCU. I think they bounce back from that K-State loss and probably stomp TCU. You know, we talked about this in our group text earlier this week. Ryan asked about TCU. And I kind of said, you know, I think in the Big 12, there's 3 teams like Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Baylor they're the top 3. And then 4 through 10, those 7 teams, anybody could be 4, anybody could be 10. And TCU's in there, and they might be towards the bottom of those 7 teams. So I think that's what's fun about the Big 12 this year. But yeah, I got Oklahoma just covering, and it's only going to take a touchdown to cover that. So yeah, that's my lock of the week.
I'll be honest. I wish I would have seen that one earlier. The 6.5. How is Oklahoma? I get they're coming off an upset, but Kansas State kind of has their number. TCU doesn't got their number. How are they only 6.5? So I think that's a hell of a great lock right now. The one that I'm looking at, and we mentioned it earlier, I am really high right now on Minnesota. I think that's going to be my lock right now at -12. First off, they're undefeated against the spread. We mentioned how they've had 11 consecutive games where they've held opponents under 280 yards. The other thing, I'm looking at Purdue. Not only did they lose to my Syracuse Orangemen here, but they have been awful not only against the spread. They haven't played great. They have Charlie Jones, which to Iowa fans' detriment, he's been playing amazing for them right now. But, I mean, they lost to Penn State in a close game, but they didn't cover the spread of 3.5. They beat Indiana State? I can't tell. So FCS school to get their confidence up. They didn't cover the spread and they lost to Syracuse. And then they barely beat FAU, I would say, and they didn't cover 16.5 point favorites. I mean, Purdue, I think, is kind of meandering in the middle. In Minnesota with their amazing defense, and they've got a solid rushing attack right now. I think they win that one with ease.
You almost made me switch my Big Ten bet for my Survivor pool this week. I have Peto State right now. But,
You have Penn State beating Northwestern. Now keep that one, dude. That is.
Yeah. But Penn State's a high-ranked team, so I could save if I need to and go with Minnesota over Purdue.
Yeah, but aren't they doing a whiteout this weekend?
Penn State?
Yeah, I thought they were.
Possibly. I don't know. They're doing one right now in Cincinnati. That's all that matters.
Penn State whiteout. No, I thought I heard that they were doing the whiteout just to make sure that they won the game. Maybe it's the Minnesota game they're playing it, but I would probably feel a little bit better about Penn State beating Northwest. I mean, who's Northwestern's one win this year, Joey? You know.
Nebraska.
Yeah, so if your one win is Nebraska, sorry, that's I'm not too confident in you.
Pursue's wins are against FAU, Indiana State. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Have you guys seen the new photos for the new Northwestern Stadium?
Yeah, I saw them earlier.
Sweet.
I would say it looks pretty sweet. I did not know, Joey, you probably did, that they are actually they are the last stadium that doesn't have permanent outdoor lighting, so they can't play games.
Yes.
I did not know
Although,
that.
The Iowa Northwestern game I went to last year was a night game. They brought in generators and stuff and set it up outside.
They used to do that at Jack Trice until like 15 years ago, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were in high school, they still did that. Yeah, that stadium looks sweet.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get. I don't know why it's not. There we go. You guys still?
Yeah, I'm here. Uh-oh.
Okay. I'm not going to share any more because it seems like that screwed up the stream. Joey, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm lagging.
Okay. Holy shit. Yeah, that I would say. That froze quite a bit. Well, we're not going to... Sorry. Medium is not impressive enough to fuck up the whole stream here, so we'll move on from that. I would say, I guess, the only other thing I had just for the guys that have been listening to our bets here, because we mentioned a few teams that have been undefeated against the spread here. The 10 teams right now are going to be Kansas, James Madison, South Alabama, Arkansas State, Oregon State, Southern Miss, UNLV, Washington, Minnesota, and TCU is one of the undefeated against the spreads, though I'm not too confident with Oklahoma coming into town, and they're going to be coming in with a vengeance.
Yeah, they won't be undefeated versus spread after Saturday.
I'm glad you said something about James Madison. I wanted to talk about this all week and kind of forgot about it. But any thoughts on them a big splash in their first year in BS ranks? Already beat App State, Tennessee. Who did they upset? Notre
Dame. Marshall beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. Middle Tennessee just beat Miami. That's cool. I knew it was very good. But James Madison rough shot at them 44-7. So yeah, James Madison's going to make a splash this year coming out of that Sun Belt. They're going to be good.
Okay, that was going to be what I was going to ask you. What conference they're in, because I wasn't even sure, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty sure they're in the Sun Belt with App State, Marshall, Mid Tennessee. Like, are the only team to like consistently compete with North Dakota State every year. Because we've been in Division II before this.
They're an FCS.
Yeah. But I mean, they're normally really fucking good, and then win their championships like a ton of times. So I think it's one of those teams that could just be ranked as a lower seed this year and make a bunch of noise for people.
Yeah. And honestly, it's the stories of James Madison. It's the stories of Kansas. There's a lot of teams that deserve it. Because again, if you put on you tear off the labels, you take off their helmets, and you slap on a different logo. Do you not think if Mississippi State had that same record, they wouldn't be 12th in the country with Kansas's resume right now? Do you not think Purdue would be? I mean, it's just it sucks that Kansas has not been ranked this year because they're going to lose this weekend, and then all their momentum is going to be gone. And they're not going to be ranked next weekend. Sorry, Clark, but that's kind of the shitty part is you lose these opportunities because everyone is focusing. The AP voters are focused on what's going in Kentucky Ole Miss, and they're not concerned with a James. They're not even attempting to watch a James Madison game.
Yep, James Madison, I'm looking it up now, has lost in 2020. They won the FCS championship. And then every other year, they end up losing it by like 8 to North Dakota State. So, yeah, they're a team that competes well in that division, and I think they make a splash here.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm surprised the Dakotas haven't tried to attempt on moving up. But if you're North Dakota State, I think you just stay at that level, keep dominating years and years and years. And if you get a kid that's having to choose between Northwestern, Power 5 school, or winning national championships, I think you sway quite a few people because nowadays everyone can get film. I think they're able to recruit at a much higher level at that point.
Well, yeah, just wait until the Pac-12 just completely go and beat the Utahs and States and else that out of that misery.
Yeah. I think North Dakota State's pretty content on where they are. I mean, they're doing just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. They're feeling pretty good there, but well, I wouldn't say we're hitting an hour and a half. Now we're just kind of rambling. You guys got any last thoughts at this point?
No more thoughts except for sorry, KU, your luck's run out.
Rock chalk. This lock's gonna sock. So they are going to lose this Saturday. Oh, thank God. Sorry. Cincinnati just intercepted the ball, and they're going to cover like I predicted. So there we go.
Well, last I saw, you still had 9 points to go in that BYU game. What's there?
Yeah, 31-20 right now, and there's 13 minutes left in the half. It's slowed down quite a bit, so I might have a chance to be 2-0 going into a Thursday here.
There you go, man.
So yeah, I would say so. Well, we do appreciate you all. Joe, you want to hit them with the socials?
Yep. Twitter and Instagram at Heartland Polls as always, and then just look us up on Facebook, Heartland, YouTube. Watching us already, but if you're not, search all our video, our archive. Just search Pulse of the Heartland. Tell your friends. We're on major streaming platforms, and watch our socials for all our updates.
Absolutely. Well, again, we do appreciate you all listening. You guys have a great weekend. Good luck on your bets.
Good job, go Hawks.